Hello and welcome to my Week 5 NPL Teambuilder and Battle video. Now, this week I'm up against Schady, coach of the Bayern Mewnich. You can find his channel in the description as always, and you should be able to see his team here. Now, he has Mewnich, Tornadus, Therian form, Mamoswine, Stilvali, Tangrowth, Drapion, Porygon 2, Tyrantrum, Raichu, Skarmory, Medicham, and Turtonator with Mewnich, Tornadus T, and Raichu as his Z move users. Now, he actually didn't draft this team. Joey, Pokegame, drafted it, but unfortunately Joey had to drop out, so yeah, he is not entirely comfortable with his drafts. There's a few things he doesn't really like, and I'm going to be trying to exploit the fact that this isn't his draft. It's not something that he built himself, so there's a few areas where he's not so comfortable, so yay. Now, Mewnich is a tough matchup for me, because I don't have much that outspeeds it, and the two things that do, Alolan, Ninetales, and Kartana, they both check it, but they're both relatively easily checked by the rest of his team as well. Kartana, he has things like Tangrowth, he has Skarmory, he has Tornadus T that'll outspeed it, and Alolan, Ninetales, he's got the Medicham with potential Bullet Punch. He can go any Silvally form, which most of them can deal with it. Mewnich itself doesn't really lose to it if it's Calm Mind, unless I bring Nasty Plot on my Ninetales, and even then it's not really a very solid way of dealing with Mewnich. And yeah, so basically Mewnich is a huge threat to me this game, and that kind of influenced my first pick in terms of Mega Altaria, which I put a lot of Spadef on this, but the more important benchmark to note is the 96 speed, which means that at +1 after a single Dragon Dance I am outspeeding the Mewnich 100% of the time. I can avoid getting revenge killed by it if I take chip damage setting up. This also means I'll be outspeeding the Mega Medicham, and yeah, Altaria is just a really good Pokemon against most of his team. If I can get rid of the Mamoswine, which I've got ways of trying to lure it in and kill it in the rest of my team. The rest of his team, though, it doesn't really deal with setup Altaria with fire coverage very well. A lot of teams don't, so it's not something against him, but DD Return plus Fire Blast gives me the combination of coverage that I need to break through most of his team. So yeah, that's what we're going with Altaria. We've chosen to go Spadef. This way I can live some Mewnich hits. For example, a not modest Mewnich, I don't think it has a chance to kill me, unless it's Life Orb, which, I mean, Life Orb Mewnich, who would do that? And also, Modest can kill me without Life Orb, but oh well. Also, this helps me dealing with things like Tornadus T. Life Orb Tornadus T is a roll to knock me out, and this deals with this helps me versus so much of his team offensively. Mewnich, Torn T, Tyrantrum, Mega Medicham, Turtonator, Raichu as well. Raichu can't touch this. This deals with a lot of them and can just set up twice, tank 2 hits, and then return the favour with a +2 return, echoing almost anything on this team that isn't fully defensive, which I can just roost on. So yeah, Altaria is what I base this team around. Next up, I chose a Choice Scarf Darmanitan. The reason behind this set is actually, well, 236 speed with an Adamant Nature outspeeds a Mamoswine, a potential Scarf Jolly Mamoswine, which I actually feel might be coming this game. It's rarely quite good against my team because I'm not a defensive player. A lot of my team will outspeed the Mamoswine or come very close to outspeeding it. Like Arnie doesn't, but I think that's the only offense. No, Arnie and Shiza don't, but they're the only two offensive mons that I could have brought that didn't outspeed it. And you can always go with Scarf Freeze Dry on things like Pelipper, for things like Pelipper rather. So yeah, I'm genuinely expecting Scarf Mamoswine to be a thing this matchup. And Scarf Darmanitan just speed creeping, that is a good thing, but he has essentially no reliable switch in to this thing. Unless he goes bulk on his Manaphy, some bulk, it's a roll to knock it out after 2 Flare Blitzes with Stealth Rock damage, which is kind of insane when you consider that's a Manaphy for taking a fire type attack. Things like Tornadus T, most Silvally forms, Tangrowth, the Drapion, the Raichu, Skarmory, Medicham, all of them just drop hard to Darmanitan, and yeah, Flare Blitz is just a really, really good move on this particular Darmanitan set, because, well, I mean, it's pretty obvious why that's the case though, so yeah. The other moves, U-turn for momentum, Zen Headbutt because Zen Headbutt just basically because I want something that might hit harder than Flare Blitz, but I'm honestly not 100% sure if it would, and I can't be bothered doing calcs. Well, let's put it this way, Flare Blitz is base 90. No, it will do slightly less than thing, but it's not like there's a better move for this, and this could potentially help me if I need to try and check a weakened Manaphy while needing my Scarf Dam to stay around at a healthy amount of HP. It's just a generally solid attacking option that I have. Also, it means that I won't be taking Flare Blitz recoil damage, which is obviously very, very annoying. So yeah, that's the Scarf Darmanitan, which, I mean, I'm expecting him to prepare for Scarf Darmanitan. It's a very obvious good mon against his team. What I'm expecting to prepare for less is Scarf Buzzwole. My Arnie here with, pardon me, enough speed to just outspeed his Tornadus T. The rest of it just going into defense because why not? Max attack because Buzzwole is strong and I might as well use that. I've got Leech Life, Stone Edge, Superpower, and Sleep Talk. I've got Leech Life, Stone Edge, and Superpower for pretty obvious coverage. It'll just hit everything on his team for at least neutral damage. And Sleep Talk is there entirely because of a potential Spore or Sleep Powder, not Spore, Sleep Powder on Tangrowth, which might be a thing, but I'm not expecting it to be the case. This is just general. If he does bring it, I'd rather have some sort of counterplay to it, and I don't need any other coverage against this guy, so there's no real move I'd rather replace it with. I mean, maybe Ice Punch if I'm expecting Charty Berry on Tornadus T, but no, it's not really worth it. So yeah, that's the Buzzwole set. I'm actually thinking that this might be a good surprise bring, in terms of he's anticipating me to bring Scarf Darmanitan, but Double Scarf is not so very likely. Yeah, so up next is Naro, the Circuitry, with I think this is the second time I've run full-on Tailglow Circuitry, just normal offensive set. Yeah, this is very, very simple in terms of the EV spread. I've gone max speed. The only reason that I've not decided to specifically speed creep the Mamoswine is just on the off chance that he messes up in his EVs, or if he predicts me to outspeed that much and goes that much speed creep on his Manaphy or something. The extra, what is it, 8 points of EVs? Yeah, the extra 4 EVs anywhere else, they don't matter, so it'll be far worse to find out after the game that he'd gone 290 speed on Manaphy, predicting me to speed creep the Mamoswine, than it would be just to go, why not just max. It's not like the extra EVs are doing anything. Yeah, max special attack for incredibly obvious reasons. Tailglow, Grass Knot, Dazzling Gleam. If he brings the Tangerberry on Mamoswine, well, +3 Dazzling Gleam will OHKO Mamoswine after rocks damage, so that's a large reason why I brought that. It's also just generally good coverage hitting things like the Tangrowth. Thunderbolt is there. Grass Knot is mainly there for if I'm ever 1v1 versus Mamoswine and I'm not at +3 already. But yeah, this is just a very self-evident set. Air Balloon, in case he is bringing a Scarf Mamoswine. I don't want to be revenge killed by an Earthquake, because I can easily live a single Icicle Crash and try and take advantage of that, just kill it with a Grass Knot, and then I'm potentially at +4 with my Circuitry, and he's going to go out into his Medicham or something and fake me out and kill me, but whatever. Anyway, next mon is Shiza, the Nidoqueen with the Focus Sash and the Poison Point. Now, this is the second week in a row that I've just brought this Poison Point Nidoqueen, and it is actually intentional. Flamethrower with max special attack investment will 2-hit KO the Skarmory. So I've got no real worries in terms of that. Stealth Rock and T-Spikes, I'm only expecting to get up my Stealth Rock because a lot of his team can OHKO me, but if I can get up the Stealth Rock and the Toxic Spikes, I can potentially even roar around the Manaphy if he tries to set up Tail Glows and stuff on me. Yeah, setting up those two would be ideal because his hazard removal is Skarmory, and I have Darmanitan, I have Xurkitree, and I have Kartana, all of whom pressure Skarmory immensely, and it can't even defog on this thing thanks to Flamethrower. So yeah, that's my Nidoqueen set. Poison Point is for if he brings the Mega Medicham. I can potentially try and fish for a poison, try and get that worn down faster. Any contact moves, things like U-turn from Torn-T, the knockoff from Tangrowth, anything basically, and I get the potential poison chance. The sheer force boost does not matter this game, so I'm really not caring that much about it. And now my final mon of the week is my Sesk, my Kartana, with the Sword Stance and the Phytinium Z with the Sacred Sword. I've brought Defog just in case I desperately need it. If he brings Hazard Stack or a series of, or like if I need rocks off the field for my Darmanitan to live a hit, or to come in on rocks and fire off 2 Flare Blitzes rather than 1 or something. And the extra coverage doesn't really help me versus his team. The Phytinium Z Sacred Sword hits everything as hard as any coverage option that I would want anyway, and the only exception to that is the Tornadus T, which A, can't switch into me in the first place, and B, outspeeds me, so who gives a shit. So yeah, Kartana was a... I was pretty certain on bringing Kartana since the very beginning because it helps deal with Manaphy, it helps deal with non-Scarf Mamoswine, it helps deal with Drapion, Porygon 2, Tyrantrum, it can pressure Skarmory with the +2 all-out pummeling, it can check Medicham. It's really, really good in theory in this matchup, so I definitely wanted to bring it. So yeah, that's the team for this week, and I'll see you all in the game. And here we are. He brought Tornadus T, Manaphy, Skarmory, Porygon 2, Mamoswine, and Tangrowth. Now, to be quite honest, I thought that this team was going to be more offensive than the one he brought. I was predicting things like the Mega Medicham to come, things like Silvally, Tyrantrum, and Drapion. I think that most of the mocks I had were focused on beating the offensive matchup in this sort of game, because I felt with the combination of Tailglow Xurkitree and Swords Dance Kartana, I'm not really that affected by defensive teams, so I felt like it was against what he could bring for defense. I felt like I had strong coverage, so I thought that I would be facing offense. But he's brought a more balanced looking team, potentially rocks on Mamoswine or on Skarmory. I imagine he's going to go for Defog on Skarmory though, because I've brought Sticky Web several times and it's proven to be a really effective strategy for me. So yeah, his team is actually more weak to Kyurem than I thought he would do, especially given the Kyurem's performance last week, but oh well, I've not brought Kyurem, so there's no point in thinking about it. And on this turn, I immediately feel like there's nothing he can really do that will stop my rocks, so I do just decide to lead off with my Nidoqueen and just get at my rocks, but he actually reveals that he's either He's either Jolly Mamoswine and Sash, or he's Scarf Mamoswine, in which case he could be Adamant or Jolly. I don't know, but if he is Sash and he wants to just get up his rocks here, predicting me to switch out into something like my Buzzwole, I feel like it's better just to stay in, try and see if I can get off the Flamethrower damage, break the Sash, but he does just choose to go for another Icicle Crash. The fact that he went for Icicle Crash there and not something like Earthquake makes me feel like he's probably going to be Scarf. So I choose to go straight out into my Kartana, and here I feel like I probably could have just hard switched into Darmanitan, trying to predict the Tangrowth switch in. But I actually was blind to the fact that +2 Kartana didn't actually do that much to a Tangrowth, and I thought +2 all-out pummeling, that might kill. And then I did the calc for this and saw, oh wait, no it won't, lol, jokes, and thought, how much do I really need Kartana this game? He's got the Skarmory, he's got what I think is Scarf Mamoswine, he's got the Tangrowth that will always deal with it. He's also got Taunt, which will outspeed it all the time. The only thing it's really good against are the Porygon 2 and the Manaphy. Especially if I blow my Z-move early, I can't pressure the Skarmory nearly as much. And the Manaphy, I have my other counterplay against, I have my dual Scarfers, I have the fact that it can't set up against anything. So I might as well just try and get a massive hit off this Tangrowth here, and try and pave the way for something like a Xurkitree sweep by lowering it that much. I do see that it's not AV though, due to the fact that he did take Leftovers recovery, which is nice because it means that Xurkitree at +3 with Dazzling Gleam will just kill this. So I go for all-out pummeling here, hoping maybe I'll get a crit, and he might overpredict, expect me to go out into my Darmanitan, but no, he does just go for the HP Fire, kills off my Kartana. But I'm happy to make that trade, to be honest. It's not a bad one for me, and I can now just go out into my Xurkitree and fire off a Dazzling Gleam. Everything is 2KO'd at this point, so I get the kill on the Tangrowth, as he does choose to go out into the Mamoswine here. I am Air Balloon, so I can't be revenge killed by this, as I go for the Grass Knot, but he does get the flinch, which is unfortunate. That would have been 2 things dead, and this game would have been a lot simpler. But I do decide just to preserve my Naro here. It can come in, it can pressure the Skarmory later on in the game, and here I do just decide to go for a Flare Blitz. I kill off the Mamoswine, because Darmanitan is strong, and all is well and good in the world. So he goes out into Manaphy here, and I go for Flare Blitz, and I actually crit him. Now the reason I went for Flare Blitz is that in my mocks, I saw Manaphy coming in on Darm, trying to check it, and getting to it KO'd. Frequently by Flare Blitz. It was like rolls of 48% or so, so it was like mostly in my favour. What I hadn't considered is the fact that he had bulk investment on this thing, and after the game he actually told me he was 40 defense, not 40 defense, 40 HP on his Manaphy, and that turns the very likely to hit KO on Manaphy into a very not likely to hit KO on Manaphy. It was a 25% roll. I could have still gotten the roll based on that crit. It was a pretty high roll crit, but it was very unfortunate because now Manaphy isn't really worth preserving because he does go for a Tail Glow, and that means that Scarf Darmanitan can just revenge kill it here. It doesn't even revenge kill it, just kills it here. And he can't switch into anything else because everything else will also get to it KO'd. So unfortunately for him, one of the things that did the most work against my team, the Manaphy, just goes down without actually doing anything, which is that's unfortunate for him. That actually did matter, because at +3, I mean, at that range I probably could have DD'd on it, but I wouldn't want to have risked that. And Ice Beam, if he's modest, which he could be, then it'll kill me. It's not a nice situation to be in. Here I do just decide to attack with Flare Blitz again, do as much damage to the Porygon 2 as possible, but he actually goes for a Recover here. I was half considering switching hard into Xurkitree on that turn, predicting the Recover, but I felt like no, it was just better to get off as much damage as possible. Here I do just go Xurkitree again, just trying to get as much damage off on this thing as possible. And I go for the Thunderbolt, and he kills me with a Tri-Attack. He was not invested, So the fact that he traced Sheer Force might have helped him a lot there, but it didn't end up mattering in the long run. And here I do just go Buzzwole, trying to get the superpower off on it. He goes into Skarmory, as I do go for the superpower, and do 41%, taking the Rocky Helmet damage, and that tells me that this thing is physically defensive as fuck. That took no damage whatsoever, and that means I can potentially just go into my Altaria and DD up and win, because Fire Blast will do a lot of damage to him. He goes for Defog there. The defogging there was a good play. It does mean that he doesn't take the chip damage, which could be very important for him in terms of avoiding things like hits from my Buzzwole with his Tornadus T. But yeah, the smarter play there might have been just attacking me. I do just go for a Dragon Dance here with my Draco Halo, and I go for another one on the P2 because I see the damage calc and it does nothing to P2, as he goes for Ice Beam and does 34.5% to me, and as I just go for a turn, I take him down to 6% as he goes for a Toxic. Now, on that turn, I basically win the game. I know that Skarmory is in range of a Fire Blast, and he's not got enough Toxic turns to outlast me. Thinking on it now, a potential Scarf Tornadus T with Air Slash would have been very, very, very bad news for me. That would have resulted in me losing the game. But spoilers, he turns out to be Specs Tornadus T. Yeah, so I'm at +2. I go for a turn. It was a roll to kill him, but it was like max roll was 56% or so, so it was something like 90% in his favour to live. So I'm not salty about that at all. But I was actually thinking he was going to go for an Ice Beam there, in which case I would probably have just attacked the next turn again, because I felt like there wasn't really that much that he could do to me to prevent me from winning at that point. Yeah, he goes for the Toxic, gives himself a chance as I go for a return, and here he does still have a chance if he gets all the 50-50s right, which is to say, if he goes into Tornadus and accurately predicts me to go for a return or Fire Blast, gets the Rocky Helmet damage. If I go for a turn, if I go for Fire Blast, gets the whatever damage he goes for. And if he goes Skarmory, if he stays in or doubles on my predicted Fire Blast, but he's just seen Dragon Dance from here, so he doesn't think I have Fire Blast, as he does go out into Skarmory and eats a Fire Blast to the face, and it dies. So Altaria picks up another kill, and the Taunty comes in and just drops to the return. So Altaria picks up its 11th kill of the season without dying, which is honestly just such an insane stat for a Mon that I wasn't entirely certain if I wanted, but it's really, Altaria has done really, really well for me this season, and I'm very happy with the way it's done. I find it slightly unfortunate that Xurkitree didn't pick up more kills, based on the Icicle Crash flinch. It would have been nice for that to be the case, and I ended up taking extra damage with Darmanitan when I didn't need to, which, I mean, Darmanitan could have then picked up more kills is what I'm trying to say, but it doesn't matter in the long run of the game. The crit on Manaphy sucked hard for him, and that was just really, really, really unfortunate. So very sorry, Schady. Fucking, I can't, my tongue. Very sorry, Schady, for the hacks there, but sometimes it does just happen, and it was a roll, but it was a roll heavily in his favour to live that after the 2 turns of leftovers recovery. I don't think he would have thought I was Scarf Buzzwole, so I could have revenge killed it anyway, but that did, well, it obviously did matter, because having a Porygon 2 at full, as opposed to at 56% due to the fact it was forced in, and it had to deal with my with the rocks and then Xurkitree and then everything. Nah, it did probably end up mattering and costing him, arguably costing him the game. I still definitely had a chance, but he was at that point in the driver's seat. So very sorry about the crit. I hope you guys enjoyed the game, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.